you roll up while she's putting this in, I think I'm the oldest person in the room, and so it's much easier for me to make predictions for the future, especially if I project out long enough. and so you're at risk of my dangerous practice here, speculating. But I want to say a little bit. Actually, the group has 3 nations involved in our immigration studies right now. We have a very strong, very active group in Italy, and they're very interested in immigration from North Africa and Islamic immigration into capital. And almost the identical explanations that we're developing here apply remarkably well in that setting. So I think we're talking about a universal process of flattening the world, where it's just as our economies transcend borders rather easily, so do our labor markets, and so does the movement of people. So what we're talking about is the future in that sense. And you see the team is really growing with, I have an update with additional people from Mexico who are joining it, but there's a great deal of folks here at MSU and some of the other universities in the U.S. with strong participation in the science department, and sociologists and others. Okay, let's get to the hypothesis business that I think. This is sort of my starting point when we were going to the social climate survey, is that I think in the U.S. that you can characterize, I have 4 different, forces at play in the U.S. that are affecting immigration policy, and there are actually 7 of them I want to mention. Start with this. And I divided them largely on the political right when I started on the political left. And on the political right, there is forces for the enforcement of laws. We have laws that should be enforced. And then there's the concern for homeland security, which translates into this case border security, identification cards, the kind of things that you see there. But also on the right, political right in the U.S., there's a number of folks in industry who recognize and live and their industries thrive, especially in agriculture, and play a role in terms of having immigrant labor. And it's not just at the bottom. And this is the other thing. If you go to Silicon Valley, they're crying for programmers, scientists to come in and work at that level. In fact, there's some people in the U.S. for very nationalistic reasons say when we award a foreign student their undergraduate or master's degree that we attach the green card. And it's, it's a very blatant move toward influencing the back of the brain during the U.S. Now, on the political left, there are those who are quite concerned about humanitarian issues and social immigration, and they're quite active. And then there are also groups on the political left that are concerned for competition for jobs and wages. And so, just at this point in the discussion, you can say, my gosh, there's a real standoff here. You have people on both sides of the spectrum being for and against. So you've almost got 4 positions on a matrix with in juxtaposition of each other and in conflict with each other. But there's 3 other issues. 2 are quite extensively treated. 1 is less, that I want to discuss quickly in setting the framework, and that is immigrant party affiliation. Who will immigrant vote? And I would guarantee you, when we're talking about people who design laws and make laws and pass laws, there are also people who are voting for them. So this is a big, big factor in how nuts and bolts of politics are going to work with immigration. The second one is the social science literature is an extensive amount of research on ethnic prejudice. And it is a factor in study after study that people are immigration. And sometimes the prejudice is for immigrants in general. It may be for particular ethnic groups or racial groups. It may be even for some nationalities. So there's lots of opportunities for stereotyping and prejudice. Now the last one is not part of the debate, but I think it should be. I think it's a profoundly important issue, and it's one of the consequences may be unintentional for most of us in terms of what it means to have a lot of immigrants or not have a lot of immigrants. Yeah. And I say, if you take the long view, I used to do this in talking in an academic circle, but if you take the long view, immigrants make the best of the greatest country in the state yet the U.S. don't realize it, it's a big deal, and remarkably, Mexico doesn't realize it's getting worse. And I think this is pretty much the scope of it. This is United Nations figures, and I think, this is United Nations figures projecting what the world population will be from 10 wealthiest countries in 2050. What the population will be. And you look on the right side, the first thing popped out, the very bottom of the United States, it's the country that's going to grow the most in terms of absolute number and in terms of percentage. We are a growing country. The other wealthy countries are not growing generally. In China, remarkably, that 51 billion is very small given China's size. That's the one-child policy. That's occurred in China. Well, there's another thing about these projections that are quite interesting. These are the projected age distribution of the same countries. And if you look at Russia, and look at Italy, and look at Japan, and what you see is countries with very large, very old populations. And people who are interested in the power of a nation and their ability to project themselves in an international setting are very interested in this figure because it gives you some insights into the amount of the resources that will be spent on social, internal, domestic needs. In this case, taking care of the elderly relative to the size of your labor force. The U.S. stands alone in this group because we have the most open borders and the most viable and growing immigration. So immigration, 50 years, 2050, we at least have the opportunity to have a strategically better position in terms of the demography. Ron Cosby would say it's very important. We know this. We know this, but these old folks are alive right now. So they have some pretty good estimates of what's going to look like. So immigration has this sort of effect. Now, there's an issue that I'm not going to discuss about it, but the quality of immigrants in terms of their human capital for economic activity, for intellectual development, for contribution to society is an important issue here, too. And it should be looked at not only in terms of the quality as they come into the country. In fact, many immigrants in the U.S. are children are children of immigrants. And we will decide where we want them to be productive, educated, influential, contributors to society, or we will say, no, we don't want to do that, and then we'll have a much different quality of immigrants, a much different outcome. Our nation's future is really, really dependent on how well we have it. If you look at the other countries, they largely have a restrictive immigration policy and effective ways to keep it restricted. And their future, in my opinion, because of that, is I think we could easily migrate to the same kind of policy migrate. We could transition to the same kind of policy that they have. There's a reason they would.